your favourite WoW class has made it to Baldur's Gate. That's right, the Death Knight is now here. It's a nice modded class, we're going to dip into it. Level by level, with the combat tutorial and all the items you can need. And we're going to start with the Blood Death Knight. Now at level 1 you gain 2 cantrips and Walking Dead. You gain resistance to necrotic damage. You also have Wisdom saving throw proficiency, Strength saving throw proficiency, Simple weapon, martial weapon, light, medium, heavy, and shield proficiencies. Now you gain 2 cantrips, and for me personally, I would take Sapping Sting. So, 1d4 necrotic damage. You're drawing out the life forces of one visible being within distance. It is a con save, and it's just a nice little damage dealing cantrip. And we're going to pair that with Caring for Dying. Help up downed characters, healing them. Nice little utility based spell, bit more supportive. When it comes to your ability points, if you're starting the game with this, I would go 16 Strength, 10 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, 8 Intelligence, 16 Wisdom, 10 Charisma. However, if you are using the item guide, and we're using the Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength, you can actually respec this. So for example, we could take something along the lines of this and have 16 Constitution, we can dump our Strength down to 8, bump this here, and have 8 Strength, 14 Dexterity, 16 Constitution, 10 Intelligence, 16 Wisdom, and 10 Charisma. Again, this is only if you're respecing at the end of Act 3. When it comes to efficiencies, take it what you feel like. And then we get Death Knight level 2. This gives you your Death Channel Charge. Your Power of Death allows you to channel the energy of death to fuel magical effects. We gain Fallen Knight, so if you hit 0 hit points, you gain 1 instead of becoming downed. Same as the Half-Orc class, or race feature I should say. And then a few actions we have here. We get Life Drain. You create a curse and cast on the creature as a bonus action using a Death Channel Charge. Face of Dead. Create a skull-shaped projectile and throw it at the creature. Will of Dead. Replenish spell slots. Grip of Death. Transform souls to heal yourself. Cause Fear, so targets become frightened. They have disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls. And then we gain things we can choose from here. So as we go through this, you will see we get some spells. And for me personally, the spells I would choose is Cause Fear. I would take Inflict Wounds. This is a really good melee based spell you can upscale as well. Bone Shield. So you create a shield of rotating bones around yourself. Reduce incoming bludgeoning, piercing and slashing damage by your proficiency bonus. Anti-Magic Armor. Create a shell around yourself. You have advantage on saving throws against spells. Concentration based though. And Ghastly Flight. You release an evil spirit that flies away from you in the direction you choose, and undead targets receive disadvantage on attack rolls. Death Knight level 3 is where we get to pick our specialization. Then we gain Death Strike. The power of the underworld absorbs the enemy's health, which is why it begins to break out the target's skin. Weapon attacks do an additional 1 to 4 force damage, and you regain 1 to 4 hit points. And of course the Blood. This is what gives us our Death Strike. As you see, as you go through here, you get different ones. It gives us Blood Boiling, so the blood boils and rushes out, 2 to 20 damage, and it's force damage. And even on a save, they'll still take half damage. Bloody Mark, this is essentially just Hunter's Mark. And Bloody Missile, 2 to 8 damage, 2d4 force, kind of like a very low version of Magic Missile, but there's not that many darts. For your next spell at this point, I would take False Life just to gain some temporary hit points. And Death Knight level 4 gives you your first feat. Now, if you aren't respecing and your strength is at 16, because you are genuinely level 4, take the ability improvement, bump your strength up to 18. Because we're using the gauntlets, I personally would come down here and take Great Weapon Master. Basically, solid 10 damage for a cost of a -5 attack roll. If you land a critical hit or kill a target with a melee weapon attack, we can make another one as a bonus action that turn. A nice way of just boosting our damage. We gain one more spell, and for this one I would pick Dissonant Whispers. Death Knight level 5 unlocks level 2 spell slots, gives us an additional Death Channel Charge, as well as extra attack. So if we make an attack on our main action, we can follow up with an extra one. Now we have access to level 2 spells, and for me personally, the 2 I would take would be Grip of Death. You create a hand from the dark to pull creatures towards you as a bonus action. This could be really good for pulling enemies away from your more squishy characters like your spellcasters, your rogue, that sort of thing. And Asphyxia. You create a cloud of necrotic energy around the neck of a specific target. takes 2 to 12 necrotic damage at the start of its turn. Creature gains a -2 penalty to armor class, and attack rolls have a -1d4 penalty for 10 turns as concentration. This is a massive debuff. Death Knight level 6 gives you Aura of Futility. Nearby enemies have a -3 penalty on saving throws, another big aura, another big boost as well. We gain one more spell, and for this one I would take the Ray of Enfeeblement. Death Knight level 7 unlocks Vampire Blood. Your hit point maximum increases by 2 for every level you have gained. Nice way of tanking us up and increasing our hit pool. And then for a spell here, I would take Wither and Bloom. You awaken life and death in the sphere, at a certain point within the range of the spell, dealing damage to enemies and healing allies. Really nice damage dealer and healer at the same time. Death Knight level 8 gives us access to our second feat. Now, again, if you are level 8, take your strength from 18 to 20. Because we're not level 8, we are going to come down here, and we're going to take Savage Attacker. When making melee weapon attacks, you roll your damage dice twice and use the highest result. And then for a spell at this point, I would actually stick with Blindness because it can be very helpful. Death Knight level 9 gives you another Death Channel Charge, as well as 3rd level spell slots for us to choose from. Now, at this point, I would come in here, and I would take Vampiric Touch. I think this is a great spell. Touch an enemy to siphon their life force and regain half as many hit points. Concentration for 10 turns. Death Knight level 10 brings a huge buff in Aura of Decay. Evil spirits protect the affected entity. Nearby enemies take 4 to 9 necrotic damage per turn. The only debuff is you can't become invisible while using this aura. Crazy. For a spell here, you could take Animate Dead. This would probably be my choice and just get an undead servant on the battlefield with you. Death Knight level 11 brings Heart Attack. So essentially you can empower your weapon to do an additional 2 to 16 force damage, and you'll take 1 to 8 force damage. The good thing is, we can actually use some items to help with our regen, so really you can just get extra damage for nothing, and I'll show you this. For a spell here, I would take Fear. The other option would be Stinking Cloud. And then our final level, Death Knight level 12, we get a new feat. Now, if you are level 12 without the gauntlets, then take Great Weapon Master. If you are again respecking, we are going to take Alert to boost ourselves up the turn order and ensure we can't be surprised. And then for a final feat, I do like the Crown of Madness. Okay, let's go over the items, and we start with the Hell Dusk Helmet. In Feral Sights, you can see Magical and Ordinary Darkness up to 12 meters. Cannot be blinded. +2 bonus to our saving throws against spells, and we cannot be critically hit. You could also use Savrok's Horned Helmet here if you want to get the critical hit number reduced. We're going to take the Cindermoth Cloak, as we are going to be a melee character. Any melee damage we take within 2 meters will receive Burning. The Disintegrating Nightwalkers to give us Misty Step. This will also mean we can't be enwebbed, entangled or ensnared, as well as slip on ice or grease. The Hell Dusk Armor, the best armor in the game in my opinion. You basically, when you succeed a saving throw, they'll take Burning for 3 turns. We have resistance to fire damage and can't be burned, so that's now resistance to fire and necrotic, and we take 3 less damage from all sources, helping us frontline. For gloves, like I said, the Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength sets it to 23. This gives you a +6, and essentially means you don't need to put your strength up with your ASIs. For rings, we're going to have the Ring of Regeneration, because a lot of our spells and stuff do damage us. This is a nice way of just regenerating our health pool. The Burnish Ring, so we get use of Paralysing Ray. For an amulet, we're going to take the Surgeon Subjugation Amulet. So once per long rest, when scoring a critical hit on a humanoid, we can paralyze them for 2 turns. And then finally, my favourite 2-handed weapon in the game, the Sword of Chaos. So this does necrotic damage, and on a hit, you regain 1 to 6 hit points. Once again, benefiting from the attacks that deal damage to us, we can regen those hit points. So that is the build. Let's go check it out. Okay, you can see we're in the turn order and we're near the top, so let's get to our turn. Okay, and let's start our turn, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use our bonus action to cast a Blood Mark. And we're going to put this on the enemy in front of us. And again, this is basically our version of Hunter's Mark. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn on our Aura of Decay. So again, enemies are going to take damage. They made their saves, but you get the gist of it. And now it's time for us to start smacking. And we're going to start with the Heart Attack. And there you go, so you see we took damage thanks to that but we also healed it all back up. And what's really good is that we can follow this back up with another heart attack if need be. And you see we're getting extra damage for absolutely nothing because we're just healing through the attacks. Now, because we did kill someone, we would obviously have our Great Weapon Master if we hadn't used our bonus action, but we did. Okay, and we're back to our turn. You see the enemy took damage thanks to our Aura of Decay. Now let's check out some of our other abilities. So you can see we've got so much stuff that we can actually throw around. We could do our Blood Mark again if we wanted to. Like, unfortunately you can't transfer it like a Hunter's Mark, but that is a thing you could do. What we can do is we can turn on our Blood Feast. Now, we're just going to do it at this level. And there you go. And it still frees us up to do some other things like this. So, for example, let's throw out... Let's do our Blood Boiling on the enemy here. Now, bear in mind, it will be friendly fire, so you have to really watch out for that. But you get the gist of it. The other thing is, obviously if you do a spell, you cannot follow up with your extra attack. So just another thing to bear in mind. And there you go, see the enemy started burning because they dealt damage to us. You see we healed up for 2 and they saved the Aura of Decay. But again, we have so many good options we can do here. So let's start with another heart attack. Now you see we've taken around 17 points of damage. That has dealt 8 to us, but you can see we fully healed. So it doesn't matter really how much we do this. Thanks to our weapon setup, we can just get the extra maximum of 16 damage for absolutely nothing. It's a crazy way to just pump out the damage here. Meaning we can come in here, because we have our bonus action, we got Aura Decay going, we can follow this up when I find it, with our Great Weapon Master bonus action, and take another one out, just like that. And then we can close the distance and try and get Aura of Decay on them as well. Okay, let's start chasing down this enemy here. That seemed very quick to get up the leaves, I don't remember being that fast. We've got Aura of Decay, now thirdly they saved, but once again we can get some more of our stuff going. So let's throw out a Bone Shield. And then the next thing we can do is we've got so many good abilities we can cast out. So let's just throw out the Asphyxia. We'll do it at 2nd level. And there you go. Now we have to concentrate on this, so bear that in mind, but this is what reduces their AC, their attacks, all sorts. And you see they took 7 necrotic damage. And again, another 2 hit points healed up. And that's kind of the gist of it. You also got all these really cool abilities you can do. Aura of Decay being amazing. But it really is as simple as using this item list and then just pumping out Heart Attack. Because it doesn't use any of your stuff. So you can just keep pumping this out. You can get all the extra damage for absolutely no trade-off. And because of that, again, we can come in here, we can activate our Great Weapon Master and pump out another attack. And because it's a crit, we can actually trigger Heart Attack. Once again, huge damage, but we've powered through it thanks to our item list. As you can see, the enemy is all the way over there, so we're going to use our items, and we'll Misty Step to close them down. Coming over here, got the Aura of Decay going, and then once again, it really is this easy. We Heart Attack, we heal through all the damage we should have taken, it doesn't cost us anything, because it's completely broken. So, that is really how easy it is. You can power through all that, you've got all these auras, you've got all these healing capabilities, you can blood mark as well, just so many awesome things you can do, but really, between the item list at the end of the game and Heart Attack, you honestly don't need anything else. The Frost Death Knight is a really fun subclass that's modded obviously for Baldur's Gate 3, so let's dip over it. We can go level by level, combat tutorial, and all the items you could ever need. And we start with a Death Knight. Now with the Death Knight we gain Wisdom Saving Throw Proficiency, we gain Walking Dead, so resistance to necrotic damage, Strength Saving Throw Proficiency, Simple Weapons, Martial Weapons, Light, Medium, Heavy, and Shield Proficiencies. We gain 2 cantrips, and for me I like taking the Sapping Sting, so you're drawing out the life forces of one visible, being within distance, and Caring for Dying, help up downed characters, healing them. As a cantrip, this is phenomenal. Now it comes to your ability points. I'd recommend having 16 strength, 10 dexterity, 14 constitution, 8 intelligence, 16 wisdom, 10 charisma. If you're using this build as it is and the item list, then we will actually have gloves that set our strength to 23. So you can get rid of strength, we can pop this onto our constitution, stick this with our wisdom, and we can do something akin to this, where we can have 8 strength, 14 dex, 16 con, 10 intelligence, 16 wisdom, 10 charisma. For your efficiencies, take what you feel like. Death Knight level 2 brings Fallen Knight. If you reach 0 hit points, you regain 1 hit point instead of becoming downed. This is just like the half orc race ability. You also gain a death channel charge, so your power over death allows you to channel the energy of death to fuel magical effects. We gain things like Life Drain, Face of Death, Will of Dead, where you can regain spell slots, which is awesome, and then a bunch of cantrips we can choose from. Or sorry, level 1 spells we can choose from, I should say. So when it comes to your level 1 spells, I would recommend Cause Fear, pretty self-explanatory. Inflict Wounds, now you might not think this is necessary because we've got a two-handed weapon for our melee attacks, but Inflict Wounds, if you upcast it, can pump out a lot of damage. Anti-Magic Armor, you create a shell around yourself, you have advantage on saving throws against spells. We've got the Bone Shield, so you create a shield of rotating bones around you, reducing incoming bludgeoning, piercing and slashing damage by a proficiency bonus. And Ghastly Flight, so you shoot this in a direction and undead targets receive disadvantage on attack rolls. Death Knight level 3 is where we get to pick our specialisation, and for this we're taking the Frost Death Knight. So Death Knights with the power of Frost use the power of Cold to withstand stronger attacks, constrain the movements of opponents, and blow crowds of enemies out of their way. This gives you Ice Strike, so a thin layer of ice covers your weapon. Weapon attacks do an additional 1 to 4 cold damage, make your target frostbite, which gives a -2 penalty to armor class, which is already pretty broken at level 3. Ice Knife as a spell, the Armor of Agathis, and Ray of Frost as a cantrip. We get one more spell, so for this one I would take False Life. Death Knight level 4 gives you your first feat. Now, if you aren't respeccing yet, you're playing this from the start of the game and your strength is at 16, take it to 18. If you are respeccing, then we're going to take Great Weapon Master. We can add critical hit or kill a target with a melee weapon attack. You can make another one as a bonus action. We can also take a -5 attack roll penalty for a solid 10 extra damage. Pretty good for damage dealing this. And then we're getting one more spell, so for this one I would personally take Dissonant Whispers. Death Knight level 5 unlocks level 2 spell slots. We gain another Death Channel charge and extra attack. Now we also gain a bunch more spells we can choose from, so I would personally, at this point, take the Ray of Enfeeblement. Death Knight level 6 brings the Aura of Futility. Nearby enemies have a -3 penalty on saving throws. This could be really good to activate this, and then have one of your spellcasters cast like Hold Person or something. For your next spellbook, we are going to take the Grip of Death, create a Hand from Dark, and pull creatures towards you. Really good for pulling people towards you that you're trying to get a hold of, or that are like targeting your spellcasters, that type of thing. Death Knight level 7 brings a Victim of Winter. This is also, in my opinion, pretty broken. Due to the fact that your skin is frozen though, it is now covered with a crust of ice and you have a +2 bonus to armor class. Pretty powerful. We gain one more spell at this point and I like taking the Crown of Madness. Death Knight level 8 gives you your next feat. Now, if you are playing from the start, strength at 18, take it to 20. We, if we're respeccing, are going to take Alert, that +5 bonus to initiative, and cannot be surprised. We gain one more spell, so for this one I would take Confusion. Oh sorry, Enthrall, not Confusion. Death Knight level 9 gives you your 3rd level spell slots and another Death Channel charge. You'll see we also gain Snowball. This is a big evocation spell. This is essentially the Fireball of Frost. It's really cool. Now we gain more spells obviously, so for this I would personally take Stinking Cloud. Prevent creatures from taking actions. Death Knight level 10 brings the Aura of Decay. This is incredibly powerful. You activate it and nearby enemies will take 4 to 9 necrotic damage per turn. Really, really powerful, and you'll see this in combat. For a spell here, I do like taking Fear. Death Knight level 11 brings Annihilation. The number you need to roll a critical hit while attacking is reduced by 2, and this effect can stack. really powerful. We gain one more spell, and at this point I would take Animate Dead, just to get use if you want a minion on the battlefield. And our final level, level 12, gives you your final feat. Now for this one, I would personally, if you are not respecing, take Great Weapon Master. If you are respecing because you've got the Strength Gloves, then come all the way down here and take Savage Attacker. So when we make attack rolls, we roll our damage dice twice, as long as it's a melee weapon, and use the highest result. We gain one more spell, and for this one, I would personally take Feign Death. Okay, when it comes to equipment, we're going to take Savrok's Horned Helmet. You gain Dark Vision up to a range of 3 meters or 15 if you already have it. Most importantly, the number you need to roll a critical hit is reduced by 1. This can stack. So we gained 2 off, thanks to our class features. Now another one. We now need a 17 or above to get a critical hit. We also can't be frightened or afflicted with emotion-altering conditions. Seems very Death Knight-like. And Constitution saving throws +1. Now, you'll see our AC is sitting at 23. To make it even higher, without making it higher, we're going to take the Cloak of Displacement. This will activate, granting disadvantage on attack rolls against us. We're going to take the Disintegrating Nightwalks to give us a use of Misty Step. Also means we cannot be enwebbed, entangled, or ensnared, or slip on ice or grease. For armour, we're going to take the Helldusk Armour, probably my favourite in the game. When you succeed a saving throw, the caster will receive Burning for 3 turns. We're now resistant to fire damage and cannot be burned, and we take 3 less damage from all sources, as well as have the ability to fly. Now, as I said during the level by level guide, the Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength will set our strength to 23. We're going to take the Ring of Regeneration because we are going to be a melee frontliner. This is just a nice way to get our health pool back up. We're going to pair this with the Snowburst Ring because we are dealing cold damage. We'll also create a 4.5 meter circle of ice around the target, and if they try to move, this is possible for them to slip on it. For an amulet, the Surgeon Subjugation Amulet, so once per long rest when scoring a critical hit on a humanoid, we can paralyse the target for 2 turns. The Sword of Chaos, my favourite 2-handed weapon in the game. It's really good damage, it's also necrotic damage, ties into the theme, and on a hit we regain 1 to 6 hit points, once again helping us tank on the front line. And then we're going to pair this with the Deadshot. The number you need to roll a critical hit is reduced by 1. This takes our critical hit need from a 17 down to a 16, so we've reduced our critical need by 20%. So that is the build, let's go check it out. Okay, you can see we're in combat and we're actually top of the turn order alongside our rogue. So, let's get doing this. Now, we are going to activate our Aura of Decay. And you'll see, one of them saved, but one of them didn't, so they took 4 damage. And now, we're just going to do some very basic attacks so you can see the damage output we have. As you can see, we have so many abilities here, so many bonus actions we can do. So in fact, let's boost our Bone Shield. We'll get this going. There we go. And now, let's just swing at the enemy here. And you see they now have Frostbite, as well as the layer of ice all around them. And we can keep swinging. Unfortunately, we did miss, but we could have kept swinging. And there you go, already a massive critical hit. Okay, you can see we healed up and we're still displaced, and we can walk over the ice with no fear. See Arm Decay also kicking in. Now I want to show off our snowball, so we're going to throw it down here. Now bear in mind, the enemy is a rogue, so they probably will make their save, but there you go, you can see just how much damage we caused, and it's a lot to the enemy there. Now obviously if we do that we don't get the ability to do our bonus action, but what it does mean is we can do any one of these. So let's do Face of Death. You'll see this costs your channel death charges, and you can pick the type. So the next attack roll against this target has advantage. You've got the next attack roll made by this creature has disadvantage. So let's throw it on our barbarian in front of us. So there you go, we've debuffed them and we have caused damage. Okay, and it's time for us to start swinging, so let's just attack the barbarian, and you can see we're doing normal, necrotic and cold damage with our attacks here, as well as causing frostbite. And we can still do some spells like this. We can also do a pommel strike, we can do a grip of death, so let's just smack him with a pommel strike. And you see another big crit, and now we can paralyze them, nullifying their next turn. Okay, and now you can see we've got the enemies here. This is another great opportunity to throw out one of our snowballs. So we'll throw it here. And there you go. Lots of damage to enemies. The ones that make the save don't, but we do have this nice big layer of ice now that they'll have to get through. What this also means is once again we can do our Face of Dead. We could give the enemy disadvantage, so we'll throw this at the archer. And there you go. Okay, now don't forget we have a cantrip that will help us get our downed ally up. So, care for the dying. You see a big health boost there. So it's such a great ability to have. And once again, still frees up our bonus action. We could do another Face of Fear because we have so many charges. And let's throw out... We'll do a pure damage one this time. And we'll throw it at the caster. And a huge crit again with a 25 damage. But our cantrips and our spells work really well in conjunction. We also have Snow Squirrel. So let's throw this out. We'll do it at second level. We can throw this down here. You can see it's not the biggest of radiuses. There you go, knocking everyone prone. And then you'll see we killed one of them. We've still got this enemy here, which is where we can throw out another Face of Fear. And there you go, only 6 damage this time sadly, but you can really maximise your spell casting with your pure melee prowess. And then it's time for us to just start finishing the fight. So let's begin by just doing some very simple weapon attacks. Trying to get Aura of Decay going. There you go. Now what's really cool is that if the enemy was closer, we can actually activate our Great Weapon Master bonus attack. Unfortunately they are too far away, so we are stuck with just doing another Face of Fear. And landing another critical hit on the enemy. And then it's really just time to start ending the fight. So we'll come up here. Now, unfortunately, we can't quite reach. We could use our bow if we wanted to, and this will activate with our bonus action, also not our bonus action, our extra attack, but it's not really worth it. So instead, let's throw out a Rare Frost, which sadly missed, and then we'll throw out a Face of Fear. And we get that 10 damage. And now we can just close down the distance and get them gone. So,
let's get this over with.
Got the Aura of Decay going, get our attacks in, just like that, get the Frostbite, and then once again we have lots of options we can do. So if we were to do a movement speed reduced by 50%, because they like running away, sadly they missed. And again, try and get that aura going, and then we just try and take out the tricky rogues with a big crit to begin with, and a second big crit to follow it up. So you see, you can really use your items to your advantage to benefit on that -2 to your class features of reducing your critical number. And you can just pump out the crits. You can spread the ice to enemies slip, and then you can follow up with your bonus action spell, which can deal up to 30 damage. In fact, you saw it got 25 with a crit. Final Death Knight subclass for us to go over in the mod for Baldur's Gate 3 is the Unholy. So let's jump right in, level by level, combat assuring all the items you could ever need. So of course we start with the Death Knight mod. This gives us Walking Dead, so we gain resistance to necrotic damage. It also gives us Wisdom saving throw proficiency, Strength saving throw proficiency, Simple weapon, martial weapon, light, medium, heavy, and shield proficiencies. Now we gain 2 cantrips, so I would take Sapping Sting, and I would take Caring for Dying. This being incredible, it's a cantrip for helping up downed allies, and the healing is amazing, especially for level 1. Now when it comes to ability points, I would have 16 Strength, 10 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, 8 Intelligence, 16 Wisdom, 10 Charisma. However, if you are using the item list and respecking, because we're using the Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength, this will set your Strength to 23. So we can actually respec into something like this, and have 8 Strength, 14 Dexterity, 16 Constitution, 10 Intelligence, 16 Wisdom, 10 Charisma. For your proficiencies, take what you feel like. Death Knight level 2 gives you your first level spell slots. Gives you your Death Channel Charge, which you use to do some of your abilities. It gives you Fallen Knight, so if you reach 0 hit points, you regain 1 instead of becoming downed. Very similar to the Half-Orc Race ability. And then a few actions we can do with our Death Channel Charge. Life Drain, so you can create a curse and cast it on a creature. Face of Death, create a skull-shaped projectile throughout the creature. Will of Dead, replenishing your spell slots. Grip of Death, transform souls to heal yourself, and then all our spells we can choose from. So, when it comes to your first set of spells, I would personally take Core Sphere, pretty self-explanatory. Inflict Wounds, really nice melee necromancy level 1 spell that you can upcast for really insane damage. The Bone Shield, so as a bonus action you create a shield of rotating bones, reduce incoming bludgeoning, piercing and slashing damage by your proficiency bonus. The Anti-Magic Armor, so you create a shell around yourself, giving you advantage on saving throws against spells. And Ghastly Flight, essentially you throw this out in a direction, and undead targets receive disadvantage on attack rolls. Death Knight level 3 gives you your specialization, and like I said, for this we're going with the Unholy. So Death Knights with the power of Unholy use the power of the underworld to inflict terrible diseases on their opponents, and they have no equal in the ability to command the undead. This will give you Ulcer Strike. A disgusting poison begins to release from your weapon. This will deal an additional 1d4 necrotic damage, make your target rot, meaning they take damage at the start of each turn. We gain the Armour of Death, and this is the armour of Agathis, but necrotic damage instead. Hex, so we can deal additional damage. And Toll the Dead as a cantrip. You point to one creature that you can see within distance, and the air around is momentarily filled with the mournful sound of a bell. If they're hit, they take 1 to 12 necrotic damage. Being one more spell for this one, I would take Dissonant Whispers. Death Knight level 4 gives you your first feat. Now, if you are respecking, then we're going to take Great Weapon Master to get the solid 10 damage for the -5 attack roll. It also means if we score a crit or kill a creature with our melee weapon attack, we can make another one on our bonus action. If you aren't respecking, you're playing this from the start of the game and your strength is currently 16, then take the ability to score improvement and bump up to 18. But at the respec, we are going to take Great Weapon Master. For a spell here, I would take Bane. Death Knight level 5 brings a Death Channel charge and extra attack. So if we make an attack with our weapon, we can follow up with an extra one. We also gain some spells such as Epidemic. Create a plague epidemic in everyone around. So this will do 3d8 necrotic damage, and if they make their save, they still take half damage. We gain Darkness, Grip of Death if we choose to take it, and lots of good spells here. So let's go over them, and for this one we are going to take Asphyxia as our first spell here. Really good for dealing 2 to 12 necrotic damage. Also, creatures will gain a -2 penalty to armor class, and attack rolls will have a -1d4. Pretty OP. Death Knight level 6 brings the Aura of Futility. This will just give enemies nearby a -3 penalty on their saving throws. We gain one more spell for this one. I would choose the Grip of Death. Really nice way to pull creatures towards you. Death Knight level 7 will bring you Dark Power. Spells you cast and attacks you make ignore resistance to necrotic damage. In addition, your resistance to necrotic damage become immune. We gain one more spell, and for this one I would personally take the Ray of Enfeeblement. Death Knight level 8 brings you your next feat. Now, if your strength is 18 because you're not respecking yet, take it to 20. If you are respecking, we're going to come all the way to the bottom and take Savage Attacker, so we roll our melee weapon damage twice and use the highest result. We also gain one more spell at this point, and for this one I would personally take the Crown of Madness. Death Knight level 9 brings 3rd level spell slots as well as more Death Channel charges. We also gain the Scythe of Darkness. So Hooded Feeder with a massive scythe appears on your shoulder, strikes at the creature with smooth confidence. If after that creature has 15 hit points or fewer, it dies instantly. As well as Rapid Decomposition, specified target begins to decompose. This is 2 to 24 necrotic damage at the start of each turn. Crazy. We gain another spell at this point, and for this one I would personally take Animate Dead. And then we get to pair our Decompose with Aura of Decay. Nearby enemies take 4 to 9 necrotic damage per turn, and this is at the start of our turn. So you can cause 3 damage at the start of your turn and the start of their turn. Crazy. We gain one more spell, and for this one I would personally, as I picked the wrong thing, Death Knight level 11 brings Disgusting Ghoul. Summon Disgusting Ghoul that can paralyze enemies with its ghoulish touch, and this is a permanent ability. We gain one more spell, and for this one I would come in here and take Speak with Dead. And the final level, Death Knight level 12, gives you your final feat. Now, if you're not quite respecting it, you don't have the gloves, then take Great Weapon Master. Because we are in the midst of our respec, we're going to take Alert, again +5 bonus to our initiative, and ensure we can't be surprised. And then we get one more spell at this point, so let's take Stinking Cloud. Okay, let's go over our items, and we start with the Helldusk Helmet. We can see in Magical and Ordinary Darkness up to 12 meters, and cannot be blinded. We have +2 bonus to our saving throws against spells, and we cannot be critically hit. Thematically, we're going to take the Flesh Melter Cloak, because we are going to be within melee range. Whenever we take melee damage, the attacker will take 1 to 4 acid damage. The Disintegrating Nightwalkers to give us Misty Step. This also means we cannot be enwebbed, entangled, or ensnared, or slip on ice or grease. The Helldusk Armor. So, when you succeed a saving throw, the caster will receive burning for 3 turns. We gain resistance to fire damage and cannot be burned, and we take 3 less damage from all sources, as well as have the ability to fly. For gloves, like I said, we're going to take the Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength, sets our strength to 23, hence the respec. The Ring of Regeneration to help us tank and just heal up our health pool while we're obviously in melee. The Caustic Band, as I think thematically this just fits and it gives us a solid 2 acid damage. The Surge and Subjugation Amulet, so once post long rest, when scoring a critical hit on a humanoid, we can paralyze them for 2 turns. And then finally, my favourite 2-handed weapon in the game, the Sword of Chaos. This also has Necrotic on it, so it will ignore resistance, and when we hit, it will heal us up for 1 to 6 hit points, helping us be that melee damage dealer. So that is the build, let's go check it out. Okay, we've started combat, and as you can see, we are top of the turn order alongside our rogue, so let's get this going. We'll come in here. First thing we are going to do is we're going to trigger our Aura of Decay. And there you go, you see we only hit it on the 1, but if we move slightly this way, there you go, we will take that, but that's fine. Now, from here we have so many good options. The first thing we can do is Hex. So let's throw Hex and we'll do a Strength 1 on Skeeve. And here you go. Now this means we can swing with our weapon and do additional damage. Just like that. And it instantly wiped our enemy. And unlike the Blood Frost Knight, because it is Hex, we can move it for free, like a normal Hex would. As you see, they took acid damage for hitting us. And let's get that Aura of Decay going. Now, unfortunately, they did save, but that's okay. Now, we have so many good options we can do here. So, let's start with a rapid decomposition. And we'll throw it on this enemy here. There you go. Now, they are going to take their damage for 10 turns. And what this means is that we still have our bonus action available. So we could do things like our Bone Shield, for example. And let's get this going and reduce our damage to really tank up here. And you see they took 16 damage, which is crazy. You see they're taking acid damage for every hit. And because the rapid decomposition isn't concentration, it just lasts for 10 turns. You'll see they took damage there. And once again, we can just keep throwing this around while we have the level 3 spell slots. So this time we can throw it on the enemy here. Now they're going to take 10 turns of it. And we can just follow up with a Pommel Strike, for example, on our Barbarian friend here. You see another 5 damage there. It's just such an easy way of passing around some pretty high damage if the rolls come in. Such as an 18. You see more acid damage coming in there. And you see there's continuously taking damage from our aura. And what's really cool, that means we can now just keep swinging. Here, try and wipe them out, and if we need a little bit of extra damage, we can do Face of Fear and throw a projectile at them. Just like that. And then we can set ourselves up for the next round, if the enemy wasn't in the way. And there you go, there's those big rolls coming in, 16. And it was a really nice way of also breaking the concentration on Ensnaring Strike. And a 5 damage there, so you can just spread around this necrotic damage so easily, as long as you've got your level 3 spell slots. Okay, what we'll do is we'll bonus action, I guess. And we'll come up top. There we go. Now we know that they are a rogue, so they're very tricky. So maybe we can land another rapid decomposition on them. And there you go. Now they're also going to take 3 damage because they've got so many things like uncanny dodge and stuff. It's a nice way of ensuring that they take their damage each turn. Just like that. And you see the damage is just piling up now. The enemy shooting us is already at half health, and we've not even attacked them properly. And then it's a case of just doing our melee capabilities and trying to hit the enemy. And you see we got the Aura of Decay on the one down the bottom and here as well. And we still have bonus action, so if we wanted to, we could benefit from a lot of things like our strength and try and shove the enemy off, and in this case it's actually worked. So there you go, nice little way of just doing that as well. And then we can set ourselves up for next turn by coming down here and spreading the aura to the other enemy as well. Just like that, and they took another 9. And as you can see, they are very slowly dwindling down their health ball. A big 12 damage there. Now it's time to finish the fight. And we're going to do it very simply by just swinging our weapon. Now unfortunately we can't quite see this enemy here, which is a shame. So we'll come down here.
I'll catch a break.
And we'll throw our Face of Death at this enemy here. And there you go, and now we know it's just our spellcaster left, wherever he should be. Now let's get our disgusting ghoul going as well. We'll throw this here. And let's just end our turn, because I want to see the ghoul in action. Of course the enemy goes invisible just as I want to show it off. Now you see the ghoul has 120 hit points, which is incredible. But it only has a claw attack, but this can paralyze. And let's get some attacks going. There you go. So this thing is really powerful as a summon. And combined with Animate Dead, if we had our spell slot available, we could animate more. What we can do, however, is replenish spell slots using our Death Channel charge. So let's get back a 3rd level spell slot. Just like that. And what we can do is we can come in here, animate dead, let's get a zombie. And there you go. Now we have more companions on the battlefield. So that is the gist of the Unholy Death Knight. It's very different to the other 2, but just as fun, probably just as broken too. So I really hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, let me know in the comments below and let me know what you changed, new items, spells, all that fun stuff. If you're not already, please like and subscribe to the channel, it helps me tremendously, and I've got more guides to things like Baldur's Gate, Oblivion, Dragon Age, Path of Exile, all the amazing RPGs you could ever need. And hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.